Hello and welcome to our program Where God Weeps, a program where we talk about the situation of the suffering and persecuted church around the world. Pakistan, the third largest Muslim nation in the world, a nuclear power in a continuous conflict with India and Afghanistan, is a key player in the struggle between moderate Islam and radical fundamentalists. More than 190 million people live nowadays in Pakistan, the sixth most populated country in the planet. It is a young nation with 45% of illiteracy rate. Christians in the country do not have an easy life. Religious freedom is seriously limited in the country with initiatives such as the Blasphemy laws. Today it is my privilege to welcome to our program Sister Irshad Maqsood from the Daughters of St. Paul. Sister, welcome to our program. Sister, now we're going to watch a short video about the situation of Christians in Pakistan. Here is a country profile of Pakistan.
Pakistan, the third biggest Islamic state in the world. A nuclear power in a continually smouldering dispute with India and Afghanistan. A key player on the international arena in the battle between moderate Islam and radical fundamentalism. What direction will it take? Over 190 million people live in Pakistan, which makes it the sixth most populous country on the planet. It is also a very young society. The average age and life expectancy are respectively 22 and 66 years, with a high population growth rate. 45% of the population is illiterate. The people make up a very diverse ethnic mosaic, from Punjabis who hold the majority of administrative posts, through inhabitants of the largely agricultural Sindh province, governed by wealthy landowners, to Baluch and Pathans from the less accessible mountainous areas of the northwest, clans who live according to their own tribal laws. The glory days of territories that make up present-day Pakistan reach back 2.5 millennia before Christ, and the growth of cities that belong to the Indus Valley civilization, one of the most ancient in the world. Islam arrived here thanks to Arab traders and Persian conquests early in the 8th century. Whilst in the 16th and 17th centuries, the Islamic Mughal Empire prospered in these areas. 100 years later, the East India Company began operating in India and gradually took control over a territory that subsequently in the 19th century became the British Raj, with Queen Victoria as Empress of India. The colonial period ended in 1947 with the breakup of the country and the creation of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan for India's Muslims. The dialogue with India remains a serious challenge for Pakistan's leadership. The dispute over Kashmir, unresolved since partition, has already resulted in 2 armed conflicts. The third war ended in 1971, with East Pakistan gaining independence as Bangladesh. Kashmir continues to suffer border skirmishes, and both countries are in possession of a nuclear weapon. The ongoing war in neighbouring Afghanistan is also proving destructive, whilst the official cooperation of the government in Islamabad with the United States does not add to the authorities' popularity amongst its citizens, especially the Pathans. "95% of Pakistanis are Muslim, of which 75% are Sunni and 20% Shia. Minority denominations, including Hindus, Christians and Sikhs, make up the remaining 5%. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Pakistan's founding father, was an English-educated, not especially religious lawyer. He aimed to create a secular state in which Islam was to have a unifying influence, a country with a multi-ethnic society, with equality before the law guaranteed for all citizens, irrespective of religious belief. The situation began to change in 1974 when Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's government, in response to pressure from the religious right, recognized the minority Islamic Ahmadiyya community to be non-Muslim. Any signs of tolerance were finally buried in the 1980s by General Zia-ul-Haq's government, who formed an alliance with radical imams and conservatives in the military and subsequently introduced elements of Islamic Sharia law. In spite of its 65-year history, Pakistan continues to look for direction. The country has already survived several government and military coups, as well as the assassinations of high-level politicians. The showdown between those in favor of a secular government, preferred by the educated modern elite and elements in the armed forces, and fundamentalist Muslims wanting to create a religious state based on Sharia law, continues unabated. The northwest part of the country, comprising the tribal territories and the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, governs itself in accordance with its own local laws. As a consequence, an unremitting civil war continues to be fought between government forces and the Pakistani Taliban, who support the Afghan Jihad and Al-Qaeda. The dispute over Islam's role in the political process deepens as a consequence of the Afghan war and becomes ever more radical. Terrorist bomb attacks, bloody riots, and targeted killings are the order of the day. Crimes involving financial corruption and the drug trade proliferate. Those who suffer most are poor Pakistanis and religious minorities, Shiite, Sikh, Hindu, and Christian.
From the beginning, we have been a very small minority, about 2%. And now the certain factors like the increasing of Islamic extremism and intolerance, we find ourselves in a very difficult situation. There have been attacks on churches, many cases of blasphemy, as a result of which there's been a lot of violence against Christians.
Accusations of blasphemous acts against the Prophet Muhammad or abuse of the Quran are not only directed at Christians. Muslims are even more impacted by the blasphemy law. But in the case of Christians, this law continues to be used as an instrument that not only legitimizes the elimination of individuals, but of whole Christian communities. Penalty for blasphemy is death, following hasty rulings in lower courts, based on fabricated evidence and pressure of local imams and an over-enthused crowd. Such sentences have so far been overruled by the Supreme Court, though the accused have to wait years in death cells for the court ruling, whilst their families are forced to run and hide despite the final acquittal. Chances of this misused law being changed are, under present circumstances, practically nil. Job discrimination, violence, as well as kidnappings, rape, and the forceful conversion of young women to Islam are further challenges that Christians, one of Pakistan's poorest and uneducated groups, have to cope with.
We are at a very critical point, and I'm talking on the level of Pakistan, in our history. We see this very strong trend of the, I use the word extremist groups who have a very narrow interpretation of Islam and who would want to have a purely Islamic state. I'm talking about the extremist view which rejects democracy. I think that the majority of the Muslims in Pakistan are not thinking like this. They are very moderate Muslims, but the extremist forces seem to be gaining ground at the moment. Gaining ground not by winning the minds of the people, but by using forceful and violent tactics.
Welcome back to our program. Today, talking with Sister Irshad from Pakistan, from the Congregation of the Daughters of St. Paul. Sister, welcome back to the program.
Thank you very much.
So, sister, you are originally from Pakistan.
Yes, I am. I was born in Karachi.
Tell me, how does it feel to be a little girl growing up as a Christian minority in this Muslim country?
It was wonderful being, since we were living in a Christian area. But as I grew up and going to school, and in the school I realized that we are living in a Muslim country. So there were some experience that I encountered. Some of my classmates and few teachers also, they were not so friendly with me, didn't like to sit with me or...
For the fact that you were a Christian girl?
Yeah, for a fact that I was a Christian. But there were some friends also, I mean, nice, I had nice time.
So being a little girl, was it painful for you to feel that kind of discrimination?
Yeah, it was not a nice experience. Some friends, like they were laughing and making the sign of cross and insulting.
They would make the sign of cross as a mockery, like
yeah,
laughing?
Yeah, they were laughing, making on the ground the sign of cross and stepping over it. So, of course, it hurts.
But did you ever think of leaving your faith, your Christian faith, and say, well, why do I have to suffer this? Why not convert to Islam and I would be without any trouble?
No, never ever I had this kind of thought. Since my family is very devoted and we do practice our faith very devotedly.
How many in your family, sister? How many children are in your family?
We are 7.
You are the only religious sister?
Yeah, among the 7th, I am the only religious.
And now, how did you decide to become a daughter of St. Paul? How did you meet the order, the congregation?
As I have said, that my family is very devotive. We do pray, and there was because of the family, they created a small group of people, and we started to pray house to house. This little group that was formed, some of the relatives and from the areas, we were getting together every evening and praying together. So likewise, and then some of my involvement in the church, in the choir, Sunday school. So like I was being attracted or drawn to this kind of activities, religious activities. And then in my prayer also, while reading the letters of St. Paul, I was very much impressed of his life, how he has preached once he was converted. After the encounter with Jesus, he gave totally his life. So his life inspired me. So I wanted to really do something for the Lord. And it happened that we met the Daughters of St. Paul. And this name, Daughters of St. Paul, instruct me a lot. Maybe my prayers are heard. God is showing me a way to do something. So there I started to visit the convent. The sisters, they were inviting the young girls for a program, for a day program, and then after my study, I joined.
Now, you were born in Karachi, but now you're living and working in another part of the country.
Yes. Since I joined the congregation, I didn't have the chance to be in Karachi. We have a community of the sisters in Karachi also, but most of my services I have given in Lahore. And then this last 3 years I have been in Rawalpindi.
Which is near Islamabad.
Yeah, it is near Islamabad.
And what are you doing there, sister?
I have been responsible for the book center, our media center, and then a superior of the community.
It is very important to have this kind of, you might say, service of a Catholic, a Christian library for the community. But have you ever feel threatened for spreading the Christian faith in this way?
Yeah, in the past, in Karachi, we had the experience. We were threatened, and the sisters, they struggle because our media center is just in the main area of the Sadr. So it's not in the compound, church compound, it is in the main market.
So you don't have any protection, or it's
no,
not
such
an area
as,
dedicated
yeah,
to
in
the
Karachi,
church?
such as we don't have, but other cities like Rawalpindi, Lahore, the media center is in the compound of the bishop, so we are being protected.
Sister, we hear a lot about the blasphemy laws of your country, of Pakistan. Can you explain us what are these laws and why there is a problem with them?
The blasphemy law, actually, it was General Ziaul Haq. In 1986, he declared this law. It is a law that protects only the Islam. The other minorities, if we defile the name of Muhammad or we say something against Quran, we will be put to death sentence, or we have to pay a great penalty of death or life imprisonment. It is 295C, the law.
Sometimes these laws are abused against Christians or other minorities?
Underneath of this using of this law, it's when the case is studied, there are some personal issues, personal revenge that they use to take the revenge, and they use this law.
Which was pretty much the case with Asia Bibi.
Asia Bibi, and then Rimsha Masih also, a little girl, 12 or 13 years.
And then a few years ago also this terrible episode of the Christian couple that was burnt alive.
2014 it was.
Now, but the government is punishing the people that perpetrate these crimes, or they go without any kind of punishment?
They take notice of all this happening, such as punishing. Maybe I can give the example recently of Qadri that was being sentenced to death in relation to the case of Shahbaz Sharif, and then the governor, our
Tahir, yes. So there have been some consequences for the people that committed these crimes.
Correct.
Sister, are Christians leaving Pakistan because they feel threatened? Is there a Christian exodus from Pakistan?
Such as in general, I would say there is nothing such as exodus. But in particular cases when someone is being threatened, there is, in order to save life, the people, they have to leave the country, which is very sad.
Now it's very interesting, sister, that the founder of your country precisely wanted to have a country where anybody could live their faith, no matter what faith would it be. Yeah. And he was doing this initiative trying to protect Muslims that were oppressed by Hindus. What happened during history that now is the other way around? And now Muslims are the ones oppressing other people. I mean, it's not the dream of the foundation of Pakistan.
Yeah, it's very sad fact. The dream of the founder is ruined. It's not being realized in Pakistan because he stated that all religion, minorities, we can exercise our faith freely. There is nothing to the state has nothing to do with that. But it's sad. Maybe there are fundamentalist groups that are creating a lot of tension. And these groups are very well known in the world. Now, after 11th September, they have really come up with their names, who are these groups.
Sister, and what kind of, when you have a bookstore, a book center like you have, is the intention of the Daughters of St. Paul to convert people with books and with all the material that you sell?
No, not at all. We are there to help our people to be strong in their faith. There is no such as intention to convert. We do give a witness to the people through our life and mission. So we don't have such as motivations or intentions. The media centers, now recently they strictly work for our Christians. Now since the situation is tense, so we do ask those who come to the media center if they are Christian or not, in order to not provoke this tension that we are converting.
What about vocations, sister? Are you getting vocations out of Pakistan?
Yeah, we are getting, by the grace of God, the Daughters of St. Paul from few years. We are getting the vocations, increasing the numbers, and in general also the church in Pakistan, we are getting the vocation.
Sister, how do you share your hope, your trust in God with people that might be a little bit afraid or uncertain of their faith? How do you console them?
By prayers, by counseling, and being with them in these moments of struggles of faith. And maybe if there are some threats, we can, there are priests, bishop, so taking their help also to help these people who are being threatened or struggling.
Sister, what would you say is the main challenge that the Daughters of St. Paul have in Pakistan?
Seeing at the situation right now and being women, it's not so easy to reach to our people, those who are far from the cities. And
why is that?
We don't feel protected because the situation that we are in now, it's not so easy. And then for our mission also, it's very challenging because the mission that we are carrying through the means of communication, it can give another face that we want to convert or we are evangelizing. But deep down, or the truth is that we are not there for this, or we are not carrying this mission to convert people. We are there with this mission to help our Christians, those who believe and they are Christians, and to strengthen them in their faith.
Sister, do you think that education would be an antidote to radical Islam and to fanaticism?
Yes, it is actually antidote to this whole fanatic movement that is working within our country. And the Christian Institute or the Educational Institute are giving a lot of their services to our country in order to overcome and to be free of all this fanatic or extremism in the country. There are many big schools and hospitals and many other organizations that are working for this in Pakistan. And education is, I believe, it is the only mean to be free and to overcome this fanatic people.
What would you say is the thing that you love the most about your vocation as a daughter of St. Paul?
As daughters of St. Paul, I love our mission because it's the mission that answers the time that we are in, the means of communication, that I am here but I can reach to the furthest bounds of the earth. So this is the beauty that I love in my vocation or in the Pauline charism. Like St. Paul, because we carry the name of St. Paul, so like him, we also want to reach to the people in all means possible.
And to the furthest corners of the world. Sisters, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us in another episode of Where God Weeps. If you want to know more about the work of the Church and the Daughters of St. Paul in Pakistan, we encourage you to contact the information at the end of this program. Thank you, and God bless.